So the heroes of strategic partnering are partnerships. It is not necessarily that the case for partnerships needs to be made. There are 10,000 alliances per year which are formed around the world in many different sectors. Actually, partnerships have become essential to the life of companies, governments, any organization, because they create value, because they are the mean by which people, organizations can operate. So the case itself is a daily fact. You can see it in the automotive sectors, with 80% of the value coming from others than the automotive companies themselves. You can see in the aerospace industry, where engine manufacturers and the airframers have to work together. You can see this in the IT world. There are hundreds of thousands of combinations of capabilities in this world. You can see this in professional services, where people provide hardware and provide, of course, the intelligence to manage this hardware, etc., etc. So it's a reality, it's a big reality, it's an expanding reality, it's a global reality. So what's the issue? So the issue is not, should we partner? Is there value in the partner? We'll come back to this a bit later. The issue is, how do you succeed? And the evidence is, well, it's a good question. It's a good question because a reported number of partnerships actually fail. The number which is often quoted is 70%. Only 10% of partnerships meet expectations, deliver against expectation. So that's a very small number. So on one hand, you've got many who fail, on the other hand, very few which succeed. So what's the issue? Well, the issue is that it is not easy to do. The issue is in the how, and this book is entirely about thinking, describing, sharing experiences, practices, methodologies on the how you can make partnerships successful. So on this how to get success, being consistent about success, the main thing that we've observed, and not only us, but I'll talk about them a bit later, many people, is that it's very often dealt with as an art rather than a science. It's very often managed or approached as an intuition as opposed to a system. And this light sort of weight methodology approach is actually the enemy. It is actually, to our experience, the main reason why partnerships don't succeed. So therefore, the purpose of the book is to propose and offer a system. It's a system which is comprehensive. It has a number of components, of methodologies, of experiences, of tips, and the suggestion is that if you use the system in a consistent and deliberate manner, well, then you're going to deliver very high rate of success with extraordinary performance coming out of your partnerships. The system is made of multiple components, and one of them is the selection of partners. Now, I'm going to dare to do something which I shouldn't probably do, which is to compare business or institutions' partnership with private life. But what if I ask you, if you made the wrong choice of your life partner, what do you think the outcome will be? Well, it's a bit the same with partners and partnerships in business or among organizations. If you choose the wrong partner, then the outcome won't be good. Therefore, as one of the parts of the components of the methodology, we describe our advice and methodologies to rightly select the partners. So this selection takes multiple steps, it uses multiple lenses, it's incredibly thorough, to the point where when you have selected through this process a partner, very usually it will actually be a great partnership. It will actually deliver exactly what you want it to do. Success rate should get very close to 100% if you do apply that methodology. The book is built on experience. It's a lot of sharing of experience, and it's not only the experience of the authors, who actually have, over the last 30 or 35 years, built hundreds of partnerships and strategic partnerships. But it also, most importantly, includes the views, the insights, the experience of world leaders from industry, world leaders from business, world leaders from governments, world leaders from actually the highest level of sport management, a very diverse but extraordinarily rich group of leaders and global leaders. I would name a few, maybe a few of the organizations represented through their leaders, who, by the way, are excellent partnership developers. I could name General Electric, Toyota, McKinsey, the Linde Group, of course BP, WPP. As you can see, many different types of organizations, but certainly extraordinary organizations who have made a great practice and a great success of strategic partnering. Actually, the book is not named partnerships or even strategic partnership. It's named strategic partnering. And there are, in a way, two realities we are trying to reflect in using this name. The first one is partnering. Partnering is an active approach to, first of all, defining and then developing and then succeeding with partnerships. And the notion of partnering actually reflects this approach, this systematic approach, this consistent approach. But almost more importantly than this, there is this word of strategic. What we observe and what we've observed is that the potential of organizations when they partner in delivering value, in delivering performance, is extraordinary. And the main sorrow we have, or the main sort of emotion we would have with partnership, is to see all this value available that people don't pool. And that's what we're trying to help do with the book. Now, the word strategic reflects exactly this. If you can deliver value, which is so important to your organization that it has now strategic importance, from partnerships, well then you are in an active partnership building to deliver strategically important value, to deliver what we call in the book transformational value. The purpose of this book is just to share how we can access this strategic value and therefore how we can, in a systematic way, succeed with strategic partners. The purpose of any partnership is actually value. But the purpose of strategic partnerships, or strategic partnering, is actually enormous value. It is about the value that is so significant and material that it is of strategic importance to the organizations involved. We even say it is value that transform these organizations. Now, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about new technologies, and we're talking about the ways organizations can get so close in developing new technologies that they would actually transform the space where they develop technologies. We are talking about integrated supply chains, where instead of doing things to each other, organizations integrate their supply chains to be just one. Therefore, they see their supply chain as the same. Or you could think about expansion in new geographies. And again, you can have partners or distributors in geographies, but when do you really have strategic partners where the two organizations act as one for the long term? You can think about solution or new solution development and offering. And again, this is extraordinary in the area of IT and new technologies, where many organizations need to get together to actually deliver the new solution. And finally, you could think about new business models, just an entire change of the core offer or the core ways of working and operating of some organizations. So just a few examples of these areas where you need partners. You can actually have partners and deliver some value, but if you push it to strategic partnerships, then you're going to transform the value that the partners and yourself are aiming to deliver. So there is clearly hard value at transformational level. As we discussed, it is about technology, it is about integrated supply chain, it is about new offers, it is about new value propositions, it's about new systems, it's about new ways of doing things to actually transform them for mutual benefit. But there is something more in a strategic partnering approach than what you get from an individual partnership. It is organizational value. And this organizational value takes many different forms, which are quite central to, or can be quite central to strategy. It's about the way you approach your relationships. Applying the model does actually help you to transform the way you approach relationships. It's about the way you create new offers. Now, very advanced offers, because you've worked them with others, can actually be taken by an organization and used with many other either customers, suppliers, etc. So there is a knowledge that is being developed. It's about the use you do with technology and how deep and far you can progress because you're not doing it on your own. It's even in your culture. That culture that actually gets you much more alert to what the world tells you, to what the outside tells you, so that you are better equipped to make strategic decisions, you're better equipped to analyze insights and actually move on the way forward. So it's a long way to say that adopting a systematic and strategic partnering approach does provide muscles to whole organizational enterprises that these would not necessarily have without this. We've talked about a system, we've talked about a model, we've talked about not leaving it entirely to art but bringing some science. We've talked about removing it with the intuition and replacing it with the system. But that still leaves in strategic partnership or strategic partnering an absolutely central role to people, to individuals. And a lot in the book is actually focused on the people who are so core to making it happen and success. So you will see in the development model how we suggest and propose people could bring in. You're going to see traits, characters, capabilities that we advise people either have when they join managing strategy and developing strategic partnerships, or they develop as they do. You're going to find a number of systems on how to assess and support people to become extraordinary scientists, methodologists, but also keep the flair and the art of relationships in making a success in strategic partnering, not only for their organization, but for themselves as well. And we find this part not only the one where almost most work needs to be done, because how do you in a way change or evolve people? On the other hand, one of the most gratifying.